As I mentioned earlier about the personality test, I prefer simple models, and I love four boxes, as you've probably seen through all of the other materials that I've used and the way I explain things. Here is Wilson Learning, and they use analytical, driver, expressive, and amiable. Analyticals are your um, mathematicians, scientists, engineers, things like that. Your drivers are going to be your entrepreneurs, business leaders, executives, things like that. Expressives are going to be your artists, your musicians, your poets, people who love to express themselves. And then amiables are your diplomats that can't we all just be friends? Now, when I took the test 35 years ago or more, they took the test and they tested me with 4 different tests because they thought I was cheating. And in the end, they figured out, oh, he's not cheating. Because what happens is when you take Wilson Learning, you get 1 dot in each of those 4 boxes, and then they draw a shape. And everybody, you might be more diamond shaped or pointing one direction. It almost becomes like a pointer, and where it points, like if your analytical dot was up in the upper left corner and your driver, expressive, and amiable were more in the middle, well then the shape would be pointing into the analytical corner, and it becomes a pointer telling what's the person's dominant trait. Okay? When they tested me, I came out a perfect square. And it happened 4 times, and they gave me their best tests and their best people, and they're like, oh. And originally, they used the label chameleon because they said, man, this guy's just going to blend into whatever environment that he's in. Because later they switched it, but well, I don't know if Wilson Learning never did it, but I know that the Agilists and things like that have picked up on the idea of this, and they call it collaborator. Now, in World War II, you wouldn't have wanted to use the word collaborator because that was a bad thing. But here's what a collaborator is. They basically mirror whoever they're working with. So if a collaborator is working with an engineer, the engineer is going to go, oh, he's one of us. He speaks our language. If the collaborator is working with an executive, they're going to go, oh, he's one of us. He speaks our language. If a collaborator is working with an expressive, the expressive is going, man, this guy's really inspirational, and this guy, he really knows how to express himself. Well, they're going to go, oh, he's one of us. And then the amiables, they love collaborators because collaborators are just like an amiable in the sense that they're like a diplomat, and they want everyone to get along. They want everybody to be friends. But a collaborator has the unique ability of mirroring all 4 boxes. So if you can mirror the other people and make them believe that you are one of them, that's an incredibly powerful tool in dealing with other people. Your ultimate project managers, your ultimate scrum masters, your ultimate product owners, your ultimate executives are going to come from that box. Well, maybe not executives. They might be up in the upper right-hand corner, drivers, lead, follow, get out of my way, or I'll run you over type of individuals. But true executives that really know how to collaborate, they are becoming the norm. They are the ones that are succeeding. They are the ones that are building sustainable organizations. And so being able to look at these and quickly be able to understand how to deal with people. For example, for conflict management, with an analytical, do you know how you know an analytical is upset with you? They see you in the hall, you're walking towards them, and they actually spin around and walk away. They avoid you. That's typical analytical way of dealing with conflict. The driver, they're going to pontificate. The expressive, they're going to explode on you. And the amiable, they're going to internalize it all and still try to, can't we all be friends? And they'll try to negotiate a settlement. So your backup style, depending on which one of these boxes you are in, it can end up being either a Z or a backward Z or a N or an upside down N, depending on which box you're starting in. But for example, like an analytical, first they'll avoid you. Second, they'll probably pontificate to you and tell you this is how it is, this is how the world is. Their next step would to be like an amiable and just say, okay, can't we work something else? But in the end, they're going to rip open your throat, reach down in, grab your heart, pull it out, and show it to you before you die. So that's the backup. It's a Z pattern that the analyticals are going to have. And so you need to be able to look at each of these personalities, understand how they work. You can go out on the net, look up Wilson Learning. I'm sure the way that I apply it probably isn't exactly as Wilson Learning because I've been using this now for the better part of 35, 40 years. It was shown to me on a napkin in a restaurant, a fast food restaurant back in the States, back in like 1983 or 1985, somewhere around there. And it was so good, I've used it ever since. And so when you get into these other more complicated models, humans aren't wired that way. And if you overcomplicate it, for the life of me, I can never remember the 16 different boxes that the Minnesota multi-phase personal inventory, whatever it's called, I can never remember what those 16 differentiations are, let alone what the colors are. So, and these colors don't have any meaning here. It's just a way to differentiate each of the different personality types. It's important to try the best that you can to work with people that you like to work with. I love working with people who dream big, who have a real vision, who have a big vision, who are inspirational, who get me excited about coming into work. I love that. I also like working with people who get things done. Because, yeah, it's good to have a great vision, it's great to dream big, but we still need to get things done. And somewhere in the intersection of these three, there's the third area of having fun. If you look at the employee engagement, disengagement survey, the different pictures that we've included in here, I can guarantee you most people, the have fun circle is so small that it's unbelievable. So you have a choice. You can either make work the drudgery that it is, or you can choose to overcome the work circumstances and have fun anyways. Now, does that mean that your team will always succeed or that you'll succeed? No, but at least you'll have had fun, hopefully, in the process. And so if you get a combination of individuals that also think the same way, which is the sweet spot in this Venn diagram, I enjoy people who know how to dream big, who know how to have fun, who also know how to get things done. When you find teams like that and you're able to be part of a team like that, make sure that you're also a person who dreams big, that you're a person who knows how to have fun, and most importantly, you're a person who knows how to get things done. Okay? And for me, this is the kind of people I enjoy working with. And this all also is another slight nuance to the personality discussions that we've been having that all relate back to the 4R model. And so the 4R model is basically one of the keys for being able to dream big, getting things done, and having fun. The 4D model is also the heart and soul of what we've been talking about in the Flow Certified Professional Training. You've already heard it and seen it demonstrated multiple times throughout this deck in many different instances already. We've already gone through the 4D model quite a number of times, but as part of the training and part of the core, you need to be able to take and apply the 4D model to what you're doing every day. Same for the 4R model, same for any of the frameworks that we're using here. You should be able to start to live and breathe these models. So when you're working with the team and you're sensing that, it's we're trying to deliver, but I'm not sure that we've distilled an agreement on our definitions. Well, that would be an example of, you would get that feeling through your retrospectives. The team may come to it themselves, exactly like in the example that I shared earlier, where we did a workshop. We did the training for the Agile training for the team for 2 days, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, we did a workshop and we built the backlog. And we also, part of that workshop, we also, on Thursday going into Friday, part of the workshop was building the vision for the team and linking it to the next level up, and building the mission for the team and linking it to the next level up. And then we started building the product backlog based on the team's understanding of what they thought should go into that backlog. And it was really interesting. So for the first couple of sprints, 2 of the teams where we did that pattern, where we did the 2 days training, we did the 1 day workshop to build the backlog and get the definitions in there. On the following Monday, we had the first sprint planning where we're distilling the agreement on which of those definitions are we going to deliver. And will it help us get one step closer to our vision? We had worked with the product owner to do a loose prioritization of the product backlogs, and we're good to go. Team's ready to work. We have a Scrum Master in place, product owner in place, and a team of developers. And so we went ahead and we delivered that first sprint. And we did a retrospective, and that's part of driving and linking it back to the vision. And the team's like, well, that didn't really quite achieve the goals of what we were trying to achieve for the sprint, because one of the definitions that we did for each sprint was the goal for the sprint. And we distilled agreement among the team of, yes, these are the 3 or 4 goals and objectives that we're going to do for this sprint. After 2 sprints, as the team is seeing that, we only moved maybe 70% of all of our product backlog items, the post-it notes, they only, maybe 70% made it into the done column. And as they were looking at that, and then as they started looking at what had been done versus the goals, we started measuring the goals. And we said, okay, how much of each of these goals did we achieve? And we were barely achieving half of the goals. And they said, well, wait a second. By the 3rd sprint, there's a type of distillation that took place where the team changed the focus from their original definitions to, for the next 2 weeks, here are our goals, the 3, 4, 5 things we want to achieve. What are the actual things we have to do in order to get that done, in order to achieve these goals? And so the team had this moment of, I would say, distillation, where true distillation began, where they really got it and they went, oh, if we're doing this as our goal and these are the product backlog items, these product backlog items better support us achieving that goal. And suddenly, everything came off the board, went into the product backlogs, and they started writing new product backlog items on the spot in a mini workshop. And all of a sudden, they started getting closer to clearing the board. They still didn't achieve clearing the board every sprint, but that was due to working in a matrix organization where people were not fully dedicated to the team, where they were basically being pulled 4 or 5 different directions by competing projects. But we had them for half a day, every day, 5 days a week for the most part. Not everybody, but almost everybody. And so that allowed the team to create some traction and start to get things done. And by doing it that way, the team was able to apply the 4D model. And they did it intuitively. They had learned it in class, but they did it intuitively so that by the third sprint, they were like going, oh, okay, we get this. We need to make sure what we're delivering and driving via the retrospectives and reviews, that it still matches up to the vision and that those goals and objectives are getting us one step closer to the vision of creating product XYZ. Okay? Because this was both hardware, software, and extremely advanced software that was going into this with incredibly powerful algorithms. So basically, that was an example of the 4D model in real life, in action, being used by the team intuitively to help them get to the next level of performance and sustainable high performance.